channel, live from the shop. And today you've got a special day because we've got England international top angler Joe Plumstead with us. So let's turn it around so you can see him, and we'll take it from there. Come on, turn it around. There we go. So we're in the shop. Right, and I'm going to get that so I can see the... You just have to abide with me while I fiddle for a bit. There we go. Right, so Paul Fryer... I don't believe this. The whole thing's died. Don't want Bixby, go away. There we go. Right. So Paul Fryer says, hi Tony, Joe and CJ, Andy Tilsley, hi guys. I've got to get this so I can read what's being said without it being in the way. Right, so we're in the shop. Welcome. Tony's dressed up for the occasion.
For a change.
Yeah. Joe's had a shower.
Yeah, it's a bit of a sort out.
Oh, Jacob, excuse my French. I'm having a little bit of a mare. Go away. There we go. Right. So, Hatchie, Isle of Wight Angling. Who else is here? Jacob Pollins. Hi, Jacob. TJ, T's. Good evening, Tony, Joe, and Chris. Right. So, let's start this off then. So, Joe, talk about this weekend.
Oh, this weekend. Yeah, it's at the five-person league final in Skegness, and it's where teams run teams of 5 leagues all around the UK that then qualify in the league to then go to the C League final. I think, Tony, you did it back in the 80s.
Yeah, we did it in the old days, yeah.
So it's still going, which is great, all through SMF is governing body there. It's a great event. So I went with a West Sussex team, Prime Angling,
right,
which is my first trip out with them.
Oh, okay.
This year, and we done very well. We won the first day, and then we were second overall, just by a point. So to show you how crucial in any sort of level of fishing, that 1 point, one position point.
You won the individual, though, didn't you?
I did, which is nice. But
But 1 point is serious.
Team event is where it's at.
It means a difference of quite a lot of money.
It does. But we won't talk about that time.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because, funnily enough, Harvey was saying the same thing at the weekend. The video from the match of last Sunday is out after this live, so at 8:30 it will be out for those that are watching if they want to watch that. And Harvey was saying the same thing. You know, it's just one fish. It's just one fish. Just one more fish. It's only one more fish.
In any fishing. I remember as a kid, course fishing, match fishing.
Yeah.
Always, my dad used to say, and yourself, always comes down to ounces. Always comes down to a certain. You've got to keep going till the end.
Yeah, as one of Chris's famous, not over to the large ladies.
Well, the treble shot the other day.
As you say, you just need to keep at it because sometimes you think you've had it and all of a sudden you'll get 3 fish and you're back in the game. You know.
No, absolutely.
Which he does all the time. Last cast, Charlie, isn't he?
Yeah, well, I had the Joe Plumstead last cast last time, so I was quite pleased.
The Paul Parsons always caught a big fish on the last cast. Yeah. Congo at the pier and stuff like that.
Right, there's a couple of questions come in then. So, right, first question then from Paul Fryer. Could you guys please tell me the difference between a dogfish and a small bullace?
Tony, bullace. I believe we don't get many bullace where we are, and there are people out there that would know.
You notice it straight away because it's got bigger sort of markings on it.
Not always. I've had bullace with little spots, but generally,
because you do a lot more boat.
Well, I believe it was the nasal flaps was the biggest thing.
Probably,
I think Matt
right,
Lingard said about the other day, didn't he? Saltwater angler. It's something to do with the nasal flaps.
Yeah, it's the nasal flaps.
Mainly.
It is the nasal flaps. That's the only thing I can go by.
Well, I think the eyes sometimes as well on a bullace.
I think the eyes. I think there's if you want to get measurements about where the fins appear, there's if you're a biologist, you can tell it. But the giveaway is the nasal flaps.
Right. Yeah, that's what I was told. Yeah, I haven't caught very many. Have you caught many locally?
Only I've had a few loads in the boat. But as when I was young, you don't take much notice. You just think, bullace, because they're generally they are bigger. In the boat. But I don't think only in Ireland. If I've ever caught one on the beach, don't think I have.
I mean, I was in a species. Well, I'm still in a species hunt. It's going on till the end of December, and I did throw a bullace back. And somebody said in the after watching the video, that was a bullace, don't you? And I went,
I reckon. I say I haven't caught one. I probably have caught loads because
you don't know.
When you're getting them dogfish, when you're getting 10 of them, you don't really check them. It's just a dogfish. And probably I have seen some with different markings.
Markings.
I noticed.
Yeah.
But Dan Wood had one of over £10.
Yeah, big one.
Last year.
Yeah.
It was £10 on the bank. Beautiful fish, wasn't it?
It was beautiful. Yeah.
It did well.
Yeah. No, they've got a lot more of an attitude than a dogfish. They will bite you.
Yeah.
They've got a bigger head, and the dogfish, the nasal flaps actually join up with the lip, so that they've almost got a cleft lip. Whereas a bullass has got like a little, it's like a little flap that doesn't join to the lip.
That's right. I thought you said nasal flaps. Yeah.
That's good.
So that's that one. I hope that's answered your question. Right. Apparently Joe's one of the nicest guys featured on this channel. Very knowledgeable.
Thank you.
That's from Blinky. Right, Rob Smith. What? And I assume there's a spelling mistake there. What knots do you use when joining your braid shock leader to the main line? That's for Tony. Well, that's for Tony.
That's you, Harry. You're the braid man.
That's the braid shock leader to braid.
He's the man for the knots.
Really? Well, I haven't used braid that much on a fixed spool.
Yeah.
But I think the most popular knot is the Albright knot.
Yeah, that's it.
Right.
Look the Albright up. I think that's a very good knot for the braid.
I think it is the Albright. I make a loop, push the braid through.
Yeah.
Up about 8.
Yeah.
And back
down 6 or 7.
Yeah.
And then when you pull it up, just pull it up very slowly and wet it.
Cinch
right?
it down, yeah.
And then also you must check when you cut the ends, right? Because I use braid leader.
Yeah.
When you cut the ends, you want to get it as close as you can, but then you've got to go and check it again. Because I've done it a few times and I've gone out busted.
Yeah.
Just gone too close, especially with my eyes. I'm not great,
Yeah.
There was a knot years ago. I remember that someone on the pier showed me. I'm going back a good few years ago, where you had the braid and you just made an overhand loop, so you have quite a loop, and then you make a clover hitch, which is a spider hitch. You use it in South Africa, Namibia. We use it with nylon quite a lot. And then a chap showed me that where you've got the loop of braid, then you make a clover hitch. You have to look that up, and it traps the leader.
It's like a
cat's claw, and it traps on. And then you wind up the braid with your nylon and back down, and that's a super strong knot. But you do have a knot in the braid, then a loop, and then that. The Albright is fantastic.
We used that knot you're saying. We used it in Gambia, and it was marvellous. It was almost as like a bimini knot, but it was you could do it quickly instead of going all around your feet and whatever. You know what I mean?
There's nothing to say you couldn't try.
I used it a lot.
A clover hitch with braid.
Tend to have lost a lot of knots. Just get lazy, but. Used to use it. You just put it over your hand, make that clover. It's dynamite,
Yeah, I think I've seen that. I mean, I actually saw a video of a really good way of doing a bimini the other day. I'm going to have to practice with that.
Bimini's fantastic.
If you was in South Africa and you did a blood knot, they'd just laugh. They'd just fall on the ground laughing. They laughed at me.
Yeah.
You can't do it.
I had the same in Australia.
I had the same. Is what they use. Got to use it.
Yeah, I had the same in Australia. They laughed at me because I was like, they said you've got to do a bimini twist, and I showed them the Palomar knot, which I don't think they were aware of, and they were surprised by it because it's so much easier than a bimini.
Bimini is so strong. So strong.
Hilarious. His dad would laugh at me and all.
Yeah. Now, I mean, I think the question was originally about braid to braid. I mean, the one other thing I was going to say about braid is you don't have to trim it so close because it will just turn to a little fluff. Yeah. So it's not like nylon where it rattles through the.
When you're precise, you want it. I like it neat, I don't like ends and fluff.
No.
You can catch on the rings, maybe. I don't know.
Would you add glue to that? Not if you braid it. Would you ever do that for a
I tried gluing it. I found it.
I didn't bother, but you can. You should do.
I tried it. I tried with FG knots.
Just a little block of super glue would be good. I don't.
I think I don't know. I don't use it.
Such a small knot. I mean, I use that braid up there, that 64 whiplash. And it's such a small knot. It's brilliant. I love it because although you may miss bites because it's direct. I let my drag off all the time, but basically you don't even hear a knock. Nothing just goes booming out. That's it.
I mean, I when I was experimenting with the FG knot for tying fluorocarbon onto the end of braid, I thought you got to put glue on this because it's not a knot. There's no knot here. It's just relying upon the friction. But I found that if you did that, it made the knot too stiff. It made it, and it caused more problems than it solved.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
So there we go. We will do some videos on knots. So we talked about doing it a while ago, and I think we ought to really. So we will do that. Trying to explode nasal flaps. Yeah, cheers, mate. And Ironics in the next breath said, "Good to see Tony looking so well."
Thank you very much.
Right, hi, all from sunny Rill. Right, Andrew Bunn, how important do you think that snood length is in match fishing? And that is definitely one for you, Joe.
One for Joe there.
Definitely, definitely snood links with match fishing. Down to, I would say, and you'll be the same, was tidal conditions, like we spoke about in videos before. What species you're fishing for. I know that someone, Colin Carey, once told me about bigger fish, you'd go for a longer snood. That's a rule of thumb. But for snoods in match fishing, for me, mainly is on the tidal, the size of the tide, the state of the tide, like we covered before. What species you're there. So if you was fishing for a shoalfish, you might want a shorter snood just to catch those shoalfish. Yeah. But if you was fishing for flatfish, you want a bit of movement or stuff like that, then a longer snood. But definitely different snood lengths, I'd say, for different conditions.
You know, all the lengths, brilliant.
But then that comes down to, you know, a rule of thumb that I would use. But then some people do different things, don't they? So
I'll picture a longer snood. And I may be wrong here, but I'll picture it that when them whiting are there and there's loads of them, right? A lot of people use shorter snoods. I'll picture the long snood a bit like something at a fairground where the whiting's trying to get it in its mouth, if you can understand that. And it's going round there because it's on a long snood, something like that.
Like
whereas on a shorter snood, he'll just hit it. And,
well, that's the idea.
You know, but that's what I think. I look at it like that and think, if you go too long, sometimes a fish might push it around and he ain't got it properly. But you've got to have flow there, like Joe said. It's different tides and everything.
Different tides and different fish. You know,
and experimenting with it. You know, I remember Dan Wood when he first started match fishing, and he came in here, and I was really keen then, and everything was perfect. And he came in here with a little rule, and he's playing about over here, and I thought, what's he doing? And he was just taking all them snood lengths because he wanted to be keen and get it right. And this is years ago, and he measured everything up. He makes all his own, and you just got to look at what other people are doing. Gerald Sargent was saying the other day that you've got better at match fishing, Chris.
Oh, without
You've
doubt.
got better at match fishing because you're watching everyone and you're taking note of everybody's snoods, everybody's rigs. And you know, I won't gabble on, but Paul Christopher, he didn't fish for nearly 2 months. He sat behind me and other people all for about 2 months. And when he started fishing, wasn't a monster caster. He caught fish because he'd done his own work. You know, sorry.
No, it's a good thing, and you're going to learn that snood lengths and from different people.
Yeah, I learned from him because he's the master. You
know. And even now, you know, you look around you, and that's a big thing. Just look around you, and I still look at things, and think, oh, I like that, and you'll always find different bits and pieces. But also do your own thing as well.
No, I mean, without a doubt, I've learned from doing these videos, you know, without a doubt, and from watching Joe, without a doubt. And it was funny because going round in the past, I wouldn't have noticed where people were doing stuff wrong. And now I do. I go around and watch people and you go, you perhaps need to have a lesson. You need to actually sit next to someone who can show you how to do that. I mean, and hopefully the videos help. Hopefully the videos help because people are seeing everybody, seeing how it's getting, you know, it's happening, and they're learning stuff from that. I mean, Harvey's that small. He snoods only about 4 inches long.
He was on short snoods, because I was away, and I saw the picture. And I expected him to say, so this puts a bit of it to, you know, okay, he's not always going to be 100%, is he? And I thought a nice long flowing trace with a bit of fish on it. He said, no, Dad, it was on a short snood with a bit of lugworm, fishing for a dab or whiting.
So then 6 hooks they were.
They're going to pick it up, so 6 cameras, a strong little hook.
And he said he straightened his hook. Well, it's very slightly straightened out. When you'd expect a big bloody ray like that.
Fish, nearly £7, wasn't it?
Nice
roughly,
fish.
I think. Beautiful. That'd be on the video later, will it?
It's on the video. I mean, I filmed it at a distance. I actually see in the distance him throwing it back, so I knew he'd had it. But I've got his still, and I've put that into the video.
I think he had a couple of
There's pictures of it on Facebook anyway.
He
had 5 or 6 fish. I think he'd done very well. And he was also on a higher number, which people are going, oh, you've got to have a low number. I think it was 24, which is, you know, that's a high number at a point. And
I don't tell him which peg is. I'm going fishing there tomorrow night.
Small eye braid fishing.
All right, so there's a few statements here. Hi, Tony, Chris. Those Dreamcast rods look so good. Always appreciate the reviews you give. Honest ones as well. Honest ones. Is that as well as the dishonest ones, or they are honest ones? I don't know. Great to see the sea match fishing is still alive. Some of the older match guys still follow you. All right, that's from John Popple. Curbside Classics, hi mate. This is hello to everybody that's in the chat. So I don't want to keep saying hello to people. It just gets. But anybody's in the chat, nice to see you on here. Thanks very much for joining us. 175 people watching now, so and 30 likes. All right, here we go. Hi from the northeast. Any thoughts? It gives you the opportunity for a bit of sales here, Tone. Any thoughts for a nice padded rod bag for my X5 HT?
Well, it's the one we do.
The salt one, but it's more of a quiver, isn't it? Than a
Unfortunately, down here we all use quivers.
Yeah.
And I know it's going to come out the top, but not by much, because I sold a guy an HT today, and it only comes out by about that much.
Yeah.
And we just throw it all in. Well, I did a long hold many years ago, and it was successful. They called it the Elephant. And it had all the big Ziplexes in it, but it was fine until it got windy, and then you couldn't walk along the beach. So everyone uses a quiver now, and there's a big range of them. The only thing I was a bit miffed with is this salt one. It's lovely, right? Best holder I've seen, but I've asked them to do it. It needs balancing a little bit. When you get a ring in it,
it tips over.
It's only a 2-minute job. You just have to move that along there, and I've told them to do it. And I don't know if they've done it yet.
Yeah.
You just move it 6 inches, and the thing's balanced. Because it's nothing worse than it's.
Oh yeah, it tilts over.
It's just not balanced, you know.
Yeah.
But
anyone,
there's IMAX there. There's loads of them.
Yeah.
But we do like quivers down our way, and I think Joe used a quiver, didn't you?
I do.
If not, don't want to carry on. But if not, Julian Shambrooks is. Quality. It's £100.
Oh, he's got one.
And we sell them.
Yeah.
Pretty impressive.
Yeah, they are good.
Yeah.
The lads, I don't digress a bit, but the lads have got those. I personally carry my rods in the rod bag on my shoulder. Always have done. I don't use the strap. But I know that one was well balanced. They put thought into it. I know you had some in the shop recently.
I had them recently. I'm selling them now.
Yeah.
The only downfall of that is they're £99. But at the end of the day, you get what you pay
British
for.
made. I think they're quality stuff.
They were made.
And to be honest with you, £99 to protect a rod that's more than that. I mean, all my rods are getting bashed about. I need to get one of them Ziplex pads off you, Tony, because my MG4 GT is getting well bashed and battered in the back of my truck.
Talk.
Yeah, we do need to talk. I keep saying it. I want one.
Yeah, sorry about that. I don't know if you want to elaborate on that, but
no,
Julian's is probably the number one, but it's just
a
lot of money at the moment.
I don't know what else you got as. I think he was saying more of to put his 3 sections in. I don't know. Is anything? That's what the chap was saying there. So
we've got them in our Dreamcast 4. They're going to come and they're going to be one of these lovely. I can show you one if you want. This is a horrible one, but we're going to have ours done really nice. This one isn't too clever, but you can get all 3 sections.
Yeah.
I don't use a rod bag.
No.
I'll stick that in there with and that'll go in my holdall, and you don't damage the rings. For some reason you don't, but sometimes rod bags can be a bit of a sort of pain sometimes, you know.
I mean, I have got a bag that's getting a bit bashed about, and I actually found you can get 2 rods into it if you jiggle them around a bit, so which is quite handy. Right, so lads, on opinions on the Penn Tidal Africa, rated for 600 to 800 grams for under £200, seems too good to be true. So Penn Tidal Africa.
What is it?
From the blank looks in here, nobody really knows what a Penn Tidal Africa is.
It's not the tidal reel we're getting, is it?
No, I think it's a rod.
Tidal Africa. It must be a rod.
What was that? Was that a casting weight?
Yeah, for 6 to 800 grams for under 200 quid.
It's one of the newer ones in there, I believe.
Right.
I'm not quite sure. I'm not going to comment. Well, I don't know.
No.
But it's in the new book. I'd imagine it's a tidal.
Yeah. Yeah. So sorry, Jason. Don't know the answer to that one. I think did you ask me that before?
You know it?
No, I don't know.
I don't. I mean, I have done some reviews on Penn rods, but I don't remember doing the Africa. But yeah. Anyway, right, Irix, how do you think the fishing has changed down at Langley Point? It's not Langley Point. It's Langney Point. It's one of my pet hates. It's Langney with a
n.
n.
I still say.
Yeah.
I say it now because after it.
Yeah.
Langney.
There you go then. Easy boy. Langley Point. Yeah.
How it's changed over time.
What's that? How's it changed in the last 40 years? Well, I mean,
Tony's
Tony know that.
A lot longer than
83 question mark.
No, lot of different species now. Tony, we lost cod, but
where it's all gone really strange. It's like Harvey caught small art braid.
Yeah.
last week. And
Well,
then you get-
there weren't
you've got
any
all
rays, were there,
kinds
4 or
of
5 years ago?
few
And
Yes,
things turn
yeah.
up, £10 bullets.
Yeah.
In the old days, you caught cod,
Yeah.
Yeah.
loads of cod, and there probably was other fish there, but you just don't know what you're going to catch at Langley Point at the moment. It's quite
And dogfish, influx of dogfish.
strange, you know.
Yeah.
It's madness, isn't it? Dogfish.
Yeah, the dogfish. I mean, this is going to bore you. This is my theory.
Yeah.
The dogfish lived a mile off the pier.
Yeah.
Hundreds of them in the
Yeah.
boats, right?
Yeah.
Never catch one on the beach. My father caught one about 20 years ago, and I said, "Dad, what's this?
Yeah.
I can't believe you caught a dogfish on the beach. Real rarity, right?
Mm.
Now, you get
They're match
down,
winners,
the,
aren't they?
down the other night,
Well,
on a
they
match, and he had
Yeah.
about 12 dogfish, if not more.
Yeah, more.
And
More.
15 or 18 dogfish in 3 hours.
Wow.
But my theory is, and I've said this before, they're starving.
Mm.
The banks have been smashed up.
Mm.
They're hungry, and you'll see that they come charging in when there's a gal
Mm.
because they know them lugworm and all the food will be there. They're in. You'll catch them. You'll go the next day and you won't see a dogfish where they're gone.
That's right.
And it's amazing, you know, and
Mm.
different species like that from the boats.
Mm.
Congers, catching congers down there at the moment. You never caught congers on the
Caught
beach,
congers, yes,
No.
not unless you went down the rocks.
Yeah.
They're catching congers to a penny up
Yeah.
there. Not massive, but they're hungry. All I can think is they're hungry.
I
And
mean,
the
I've-
last ditch is that
Yeah.
bit in here where there's movement and there's food.
I mean, I've noticed on the wrecks, the congers are back on the wrecks now. There was a real blank period where you never saw a conger, but there's lots on the wrecks now. Not
But
big
Joe,
ones.
tell you, it's totally different now. You've got to go down there, you've got to have,
Well, it's
if I
different.
don't do it, I'm lazy. You've got to have fish, you've got to have squid,
Yeah.
you've got to have all these things, haven't you?
The thing
other
is,
baits,
the
sand hills.
The thing is, well, see,
Yeah.
you say about sand hills, but we've had a conversation about that before.
Irish sand
with,
hills.
with the dogfish. So a dogfish eats mackerel, eats a sand hill.
Oh, in Eastbourne.
They eat lugworm.
They eat worms.
But yeah, they just eat
They eat
worms. I mean,
worms.
I don't know why, but things have
Yeah.
changed where you lost the cod, but then we had thornback rays and plaice.
Yeah.
When I first started, probably
Yeah.
I would say I've been sea fishing for 15 years.
Yeah.
But then I caught a plaice once, and I couldn't believe, like your dad, I caught a sizable plaice, 27 centimetres, along the point. That was funny enough. It was just made up to catch this place, and then all of a sudden one year the place came, and they just have been back every year.
Mm.
in
I
the
don't think they
spring,
go. I think they live there.
in the winter.
And they're there and they don't feed.
Mm.
And as soon as that water goes clear, even if it's in the winter, they're there.
They're there.
You know, obviously
Even at
there's
night.
rich times like in March and February
of
when they
course.
come and they get a bit bigger and all
Yeah.
that. But they're the ones that were out in the boat. Was getting thousands out by the tower, hundreds of them. And now they've moved in here. I think it's food chain. I think they're starving, all these fish. And they're making their way into the shore.
And also, I think that having these fish there now has made it better for fishing, not just for match fishing, but for people to go fishing. You know, if someone, people say to me, "Do you actually catch anything off the beach?" You say, "Yeah, I had some plaice, or I caught a bass, or I caught some dabs." This fish there was years ago when I first went. That come January match fishing, the whitings would thin out. When you're fishing for rocklings,
Dinglings.
Yeah,
Yeah, I was going to
lovely.
say exactly.
Yeah, you
Dinglings.
know.
Yeah.
match fishing for lings,
Yeah.
right in the edge with tiny bits of bait.
Yeah.
But now this place, but what it has done is having these other quality fish there now, is if you are fishing, I'm going back to competition a little bit, but if you are and you think, well, I'm a bit out of it now, you can charge your arm for a conger eel.
Yeah.
But
No.
like you used to a cod. People would
Yeah.
say, I'll have a go for a cod.
Yeah.
But now you could just go
Yeah,
out and
last
target
hour or whatever.
the biggest
just
fish.
throw care
Yeah.
to the wind, you know.
So it's definitely, I think it's changed a lot, and I think it's
It's
good.
amazing. I mean,
It's good.
Jason Carter,
Yeah.
right? You know, I
He's
take
had
me
some
out off
quality
to him. He
fish,
goes all
hasn't
night,
he?
right?
Yeah.
He puts the hours in,
Yeah.
and
He
I'm
does.
too old to do all that. But I tell you what, he goes up there. He's not a mammoth caster. He chips away 2 rods. He'll put squid on and old wraps and things. And the day after Harvey caught that small line, he had 2. He went down all night
Yeah.
up the top of the road here.
Yeah.
He had 2 small line braids.
And
And
he'd
one
had,
of them was about 6, 7
Yeah.
pounds.
and he'd had 2 about 2
Yeah,
nights
so
before
I'll
it
take
as
me
well.
off to him.
Yeah,
He puts the
yeah.
effort in,
Yeah.
and good luck to him, you know.
I mean, I am collating all of his videos up, and I'm going to do a whole video about Jason's year, I think, or something like that, because he
Yeah,
has had some quality fish this year. You know, I would class him as a specimen fisherman.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's good because
good,
he
yeah.
keeps at it. He
Yeah.
goes all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, he's got that opportunity to do it. I
Yeah.
mean, a lot of us have to sort of get up and do other things and
Go to
work.
bed.
But he's kind of got the time to do it. But,
Yeah.
you know, good luck to him, really.
Yeah, no, I am collating videos of him, and I will do a video about Jason. And I keep telling him that. In fact, I'll probably say it in every video, I've got that stuff. I will do it, and I will do it. Yeah, okay. I mean, I tell you what I've noticed in the 40 odd years since, well, probably more than that, is flounders have disappeared.
Yeah.
Dabs seem to nearly have gone because you used to get loads of dabs.
Yeah,
You don't get many now. Yeah.
January.
And as you say, the dinglings, I remember I broke my ankle in about February one year, and I spent about 3 months on the beach, as I kept saying, and it was catching dinglings. That was all I was catching. Dinglings and little pouting. Don't seem to get pouting off the beach.
That was another thing. If you're talking about flounders, right?
Yeah.
If you didn't have white rag or red, little maddies and that, you went down anywhere, point or anywhere, you wouldn't catch them flounders. Right?
Really? Okay.
They eat lugworm. The ones that are there eat lugworm now.
Yeah.
Near the end, when we did get a few, you didn't have to worry. You caught them on shells or lugworm. Everything here eats lugworm.
Yeah.
If you go anywhere else, you've got to catch sand eels for your dogs or mackerel, anything like Joe's just told you. I'll not run over it again. But in Eastbourne, you'll slay them on lugworm. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, no, quite. Well, the smooth hands were coming in.
They were bloody lugworm. You know, they love crab, as you know.
Where we were at the weekend, that's in the North Sea. So for flounders there, you've got to put mackerel on for a flounder.
What was the general thing you caught there?
Mainly whitings.
Mainly whitings. Some flatties and
stuff. Few dabs, a few dabs, and the odd flounder.
No codlin or anything.
No, Brett Green had one next to me. Funny enough, we had a codlin. Who's next to each other on the second
He's probably casting a bit further than you.
I don't think so.
I don't know, he may well have been, but anyway, he took the lead for one cast and I managed to beat him.
Cheers,
Brett. No, Brett, actually saying that Brett had a codlin and heard him having a commotion, and I couldn't see what was going on. And he's got this fish, and it's got like the tail and up to the halfway along. It's all been bitten off. A seal had come out and grabbed it. So then when he weighed it in, he said, "What are you going to give me for that then?" I said, well, you're missing the tail, aren't you? And it says, yeah. So he caught a codlin.
And a seal had
after it. £3 or £2?
No, just a small one, but
a seal
it was probably like,
yeah.
I said, sorry, mate, I can't really. I've got to give you what it was with his bone hanging out the end.
Is that your pet seal that you've taken up there?
Yeah. No, it was good to fish next to him. Good battle with Brett. He's a good boy.
Yeah, I'm going to do a casting video with Brett at some stage.
Yeah, he's fantastic.
Because his pendulum cast is
caster.
Joy to behold. Yeah.
Used to talk me a lot on the field years ago.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
It was pendulum casting, but then it's changed now.
Yeah.
So I digress.
Yeah. Good.
I mean, that's a question that I've been asked to ask you actually. While we're on the subject, why the back cast for you, Joe?
The back cast. Well, there's two real reasons really. The first one was when I first started out, I tried to emulate my dad. My dad, I looked up to him, and everywhere you go, you had this thing of, oh, you're Bill, son. And Chris must get it from Tony.
Yeah.
I know. I think Richard Yates, Alan, etc. But so I tried different casts and this, that, and the other. I was pendulum casting reasonably well, and I just couldn't get it right. And then I had to have spinal surgery. My bottom two discs were herniated, so I had them cut out. I kept going fishing, and it was quite painful. And then, so that was half the reason. But then I fished next to Richard Jacobs from the East Coast, and you was talking about Minsmere again.
Yeah.
Back in the 80s. The old man got shot by them years ago.
Yeah,
Richard must have been in his upper 70s, and he did this back cast. And it was awesome, and he said it doesn't hurt, it doesn't hurt your back, and so for me, having a bad back and then getting turned over by a nearly 70-odd-year-old, it inspired me really. And Craig Boyd,
went up to Craig,
went to see him, and he just said, "Come on,"
Mm.
Yeah, and I love it.
Sorted him out.
I love it. It's a good cast for a big lead in a big sea, but on a calm day, like Brett, it's a very snappy, very quick pendulum caster. On the right condition, that would always be the favourable cast. But for me, it's my bad back. So anyone that's got ailment, like bad hips or bad back, it's your core muscles, and it is just like shoveling dirt over your shoulder.
Yeah.
I funny cliche, innit? I won't look back, but for me, I love it.
Would you? I mean, do you have to use a particular type of rod to do that?
Well, I asked this, and I asked Craig this before, and he said, "Well, you can cast any kind of rod back casting. I mean, it's the butt string, so you just pull in the rod as opposed to the pendulum cast." I don't. I think they do use bigger rods for stiffer butts. But I started off with my normal match rods, and I know a few lads on the East Coast back cast with Julian's rods, tournament match pros.
Yeah, probably.
So yeah, I mean, talk to the rod
Years
manufacturer.
ago, it was a hustler from Ziplex. It
Yeah,
was
like that.
It was like a scaffold. Great big aluminium butt, you know, nearly an inch and a half. You feel like inch and a half diameter with this big stiff tipping.
Duralon butt or something like that.
Yeah.
But you know, that's what it was, and I do believe that Joe's right. But I think you do need a slightly stiffer rod if you're fairly good at it.
I used to just use a rod that was recommended by Craig Bye. But I think talked to manufacturers. I know Tony was talking about centuries the other day, and I think someone else was back casting with a century, and they asked their advice. But that's what I would say.
I don't know a lot about back cards. I used to sell some Ziplex
But the
ones
back
years
cast,
ago, and it was always Hustlers or it was a
Bigger
Highlander from Coniflex or you know, they're like stafford poles really. But you know, it's interesting because he uses a kind of normalish rod and he goes miles. So you know.
But I mean, you say normalish rods, but they don't tend to be glass tip rods, do they?
I do fish with a glass tip rod. Yeah, I do fish with glass tip. So for my general fishing, there's a rod I use from Ziplex, which has got a glass tip, which is fine. But I have got, we were talking about Zolklons the other day. I've got one of those in the bag for when it's really rough and you've got to put a big lead on.
Yeah, I've seen you with that.
8 ounces or 10 ounces, if you had to, but 8 ounces generally when it's rough.
But I mean, what about the bite indication on rods like that? Do you just fish to the clock, or do you actually watch the rod tip?
It varies. So the weekend was a lot of that. You know, it's quite a rough sea. There's a lot of weed there. You know, you are gauging your cast to a time. So you know, you knew generally I was sitting on 14-minute casts, and that's a nice steady time to cast out and get your fish. Obviously, you are. And I know Dan said previously, Joe doesn't look, but you're looking up to make sure that you're still,
of course,
your rod's in the tide, or you're not running around in the weed.
You're not running around.
But I think
striking at bites, like you said.
Generally with nylon, you don't really see much unless it is a better quality fish to pull you round.
I was saying last week, I put nylon on because I got in a mess in one of the matches. I went down there and I left it a bit longer than I should have done. I know, you know, treble shot of dogs. I wouldn't even, if that had been Braid, I'd have pulled it in.
You would have jumped
on. I pulled it in, one dog.
And then you ask yourself,
I left it too long, but I don't think I'd have got more because it was like a big ray. I told you last week, like a great big thing. It was well made up, you know. But as you say, come on, you're saying that.
No, as I say,
I may have got more by bringing it in.
Then you think, did I leave it too long?
Exactly.
So you've got to gauge that.
Yeah.
You've got to gauge that.
To
yourself. But my dad, he won't do any of that. He gets a feel for it.
You use a timer thing. Like
I use a stopwatch.
I've got one.
But,
I
do,
Because them little things for cooking are good.
Yeah.
Some of the lads use them.
Well, I mean, I saw.
And it goes off. And
Trevor Rooney had one in his box.
Yeah, Trevor does. Yeah, I mean, it's a good move.
You don't want to become a robot.
No.
You don't want to become a. But you have got to get to that rhythm. It's trying to find that rhythm. And then sometimes, like say, go back to the weekend, then I may have come in that quick. And they weren't there, or you've got one. So then you think, the shoals move. They're whites primarily. So then you've then got to think, hang on, well, I'll soak that for a bit longer and give it more of a chance, you know. And again, it comes back to your watercraft, the tidal state. You know, if the fish are going to come on at a certain time, and that's when you might do different things.
And I mean, we've had this discussion. You change your bait. If you bring it in, you put fresh bait on. You don't ever throw back the bait back out again.
As I said before, previously. In a bait supply match, if we fished the bait supply match, Tony's done a few over the years, you would put in a tub, and if you got really stuck, you could reuse it. But no, I wouldn't. And I know that some people, if they've had a miscasting, that's right, I'll just bait it up. But and I know you said about
even a miscast, it's not worth it.
I wouldn't.
Honestly, it's not hanging. It's all gone wrong, and you know, it's
a scent's gone.
Scent's gone out
there. That bit as it hits that water, that scent trails there.
I mean, by all means, if you're in real trouble, you ain't got another.
Oh, of course,
chuck it out
another 5 minutes, and then
because you don't want to be out the water.
And I guess if you're pleasure angling, when you're not under a time constraint and such pressure, it isn't that important. But when you're out there and you've got to get that extra fish, that one extra fish might be the difference between a prize and not having a prize. You know, or the trophy.
Yes,
it's important. Yeah.
But one thing I would say, and this is freelance fishing. Maybe you wouldn't normally do this, but I know with a lot of match fishing, we're talking about double pack. You know, we have another trace ready to go. A big thing that I've had drummed into me was a spare trace. I say a third trace.
Right. Yeah.
Because if you do if say for instance you've retrieved fish, you're dealing with that, and your neighbour pulls you in.
Yeah.
You're stuck.
Yeah,
And that,
no,
like
quite.
you just said, that time of
Yeah.
you go okay,
Yeah,
in we come, or you broke off, or you snapped. You could
Sunday on Sunday I had a bass. Did all right Sunday. Come so I got one a little bit, but I've got this bass, right, and it's a lovely bite, right. It's almost slappline me, and I'm on the third lug, right.
Yeah.
And I've done this time and time again. Oh no, I'll finish the third lug. It'll be all right. It'll be on there. I might get something else. They get off. They get off. When you get a bass, I think
Bass get off,
you've
definitely.
either got to hit it, or you know, if it slacks lines you, or if not, don't leave it on there.
Yeah.
I've lost countless by being an idiot, and I thought, why did I bait that? Because I thought when I get it in, which I'd have got it straight away, I've got to sit there and bait up.
Yeah.
It's what Joe just said. If I'd had another rig, I wouldn't have cared. I've had that in.
Get it in.
You know, and I've done that a few times. I thought, you idiot, you know.
You can always take the bait.
But it's all about sharpness, you know. Like I'm 68, Joe's 40 odd, you know. Whatever.
Don't look at 40 odd though, Joe.
But he's, what I'm trying to say is, but you're sharper and you're on the ball.
Yeah, no, I know. And you're hungrier as well.
But you know, I had my day.
Hungry.
And, you know,
he's hungry, all right.
You know, it's lovely to see it though, because he's dedicated to it. Years ago I was, but I still love it. Don't get me wrong, but could never be like I was 20 years ago, because it was, 30 years ago it was keener, you know.
Right, a couple of questions off the screen here then. So, do you guys know if the new Ziplex M4 Evo can be used on mixed to rough ground?
I'll let Joe
answer it. Evo, from what I can gather, was the M4 GT was an M4 Evo plastic. Is that right, Lime? It was called M4 Evo GT originally. Someone might correct me on that. So the M4 Evo was a step up from the standard M4.
It's a little bit more power in the butt.
Yeah, so because Evo, the standard M4 was quite a C-curve rod with a carbon tip, and anything Evo was 20% stiffer in the butt. Again, someone might want to put in the comments if I have one, but I'm certain that's what it was.
I think you're right.
So therefore,
what you're saying there, it's perfect.
Yeah, the M4 Evo is the same diameters as the GT, and I would say it would be quite alright. A carbon tip, plenty in the butt for a bit of grunt. I mean, not massively rough.
But that makes them cast as well. You get a nice.
And it's also getting fish. They got to get fish out of ground.
Yeah.
Mixed ground, but if it was not like the Geordies fish and stuff like that, I think they might struggle a bit there, maybe. But because it's quite a thin diameter butt. But yeah, for it would pull through quite a bit of gauge ground, I think.
Yeah, good rods as well. The whole range
Evo was
brilliant.
Was you did quite a bit powerful rod.
Right, so Blinky, anyone here fishing Cornwall like me because it's blank central?
Come on, there's plenty of whitings.
Yeah, plenty of whiting over here. And CJ, your videos are coming on great. I love watching your reach videos on this channel, but really like your own videos too. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Right. So Jacob, is this to Joe? I take it is. So what rod did you use when you first started fishing?
When I first started fishing, well, now that's a funny one, and I was glad that I was going to get a question of how I started.
Yeah.
Sea fishing, this is. So I was mad a course angler as a kid. Dad was very successful with Tony back in the day, and I didn't get involved in sea fishing. It smelled big hooks, it was cumbersome, I didn't like it. Anyway, so one day my brother said, let's go sea fishing. So I said, oh, okay, well, go. So what did? I ring Dad. And Dad was at the height of his game when he packed up, really.
Yeah.
He told me to buy a tip tornado, which was a 12-foot rod. Yeah. Just not a sport or whatever, just when they called it the tip tornado. It was 12 foot, and I've still got Dad's original. Lovely Century tip tornado. I've still got Dad's original one at home. With a reel up, and he said, you want a Century tip tornado and a 6.5 CT rocket. And that was my first rod and reel that I used. And I had nothing but disasters because I didn't know you have to put your thumb back on it. That was in South Africa, and I said, Dad, the reel keeps fluffing up. You put your thumb on it. So yeah, tip tornado massively overgunned for me. And I've actually now still got the old one. That one you got in here was like Dad's. And I still use it now, and it's still kind of takes me off my feet a bit. But yeah, Century Tip Tornado.
They were great rods because they were very thin.
Yeah.
So much, about 12 foot.
Beautiful, yeah.
Unbelievable.
But they were powerful.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, there's a lot of people got caught out in buying a Tip Tornado.
They did.
Because you've got it in your hand. This is lovely.
Yeah, really.
But when you get out there, you've got to bend it. And
Yeah.
even a rod like that takes a bit of bending.
Even now,
the original one, it was quite stiff, you know.
I think Mick Webb actually get me for this, but I think he, the old man said, you know, this is what you want, Mick. And Mick got one. He said, Mick said, you threw me in the sea. We'll be about for the next 26, yeah. Yeah. Tip Tornado, yeah.
I mean, they're still very light rods, aren't they? I felt Rollerball's got one now, haven't he? The Tip Tornado.
I've sold 4 SSs this week. But I believe the match one or the super match is probably better for most people.
Yeah.
But I've got a guy coming for 2 of the SSs tomorrow, Tip Tornadoes.
Yeah.
A lot of money. And the week before, you know, Rollerball bought one.
Yeah, yeah.
And I knew he'd buy the other. Well, in fact, I'll just give it to him. So I said, we're sorting it out slowly.
Right, okay. Yeah.
But I knew he wanted another one. He can't work without a pair, Mark.
No.
So as soon as he had one, and they had one left.
Yeah.
Coming through, and I thought I'll get that, you know.
They do look lovely rods. I'm dying to have a play with one on a video, actually. Dying to.
Yeah, they're nice and slim in the butt and everything. Yeah. And they're nice rods, you know.
I'd like to compare an MG4 GT as well. Right. So moving on. All right, Tony, what's your thoughts on the Sonic Dominator XS Match?
Terrific rod, but it's very cheap. Quite cheap, don't get me wrong. But it's a nice rod to start off with. I think they're mid-range. They're just over the 100, aren't they? I believe. I've seen a few of them. We're a little bit different here. We do a lot of long rods, but I do know it's good value for money. I don't particularly like the Sonic Blacks, but that's only my opinion. They're around £99. I've got some second-hand ones there, but basically they're okay. It depends where you're fishing. Down here, a lot of people are really onto light rods, 3-piece and all that kind of thing. But you know, if you're just going out and you want to start off and that, and I'm not quite sure. I'm sure the Dominator's about 130, but it might even be cheaper. I think the Vader's not a bad little rod as well. That's only about 100 quid or 90 quid, I think.
Okay, so there's some.
It's quite a nice range. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, I mean, I'm made up with that Sonic HT that I bought from you.
The HTs are what we use around here. They're beautiful, but they're a lot of money, you know.
Yeah, but I have to say, it took me aback when I first cast it because I thought, oh, I can't bend this.
No, it's quite forgiving actually.
Yeah, but I'm now whacking it now. It's going out a long way.
Yeah.
Zippy M4 or A4 Grand Prix?
Well, I'll let him answer. I'd answer with a Z.
So, A4, you mean any fish anywhere?
Yeah,
I assume. What a G?
Grand Prix.
Over a GT. M4 GT.
Well, it just says Zippy M4, so I'm assuming.
Grand Prix really powerful.
Grand Prix.
Really powerful.
We had it here.
Yeah.
And I tried one with Julian up at Landudno.
Yeah.
You had it when Jules brought his casting thing down here. That is a powerhouse rod.
Yeah.
It's quite a slim blank.
Yeah.
Carbon tipped. Very, very powerful.
Yeah.
Whereas the M4 GT is more fishing rod.
Yeah,
okay, it's an evolution, but it's still.
It'll work. For you know.
They're quite different cars.
They're both nice rods. Don't get me wrong, but if I was to choose between the two, I wouldn't even think about it. Just get an M4 GT, or if not, an M4 Evo if you want to go a bit stiffer.
Yeah, it depends on what you're doing, where you are,
what
kind of fishing you're doing, what leads you're using. So they are two very different rods, in my opinion. You agree, Tone?
I think you'd find if you rung Julian, he would have a Grand Prix in stock. I think if you rung Century, they won't have an M4 Evo. That might give you a hint.
Because they're sold out.
Or an M4, you know.
Yeah, well, he just said Zippy M4.
The M4 GTs, the M4 GTs are 6 weeks at the moment.
Are they?
I've got 2 coming next week, but they're 6 weeks wait.
Yeah.
Already, and I ordered 2. Profile GTs today, and they're coming in February.
Cool.
Ordered them today.
Right.
For my manager Andy, and they're coming in February.
Can I just go back to that one, Chris?
Yeah, go on.
Sorry, I misheard that. I thought, sorry, you said M4 GT, but the M4. So the M4 was different.
Oh, you said the M4, sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry, so you went the standard M4, which was quite through action, but a nice rod.
Yeah.
The Evo would possibly be a little bit like the Any Fish, but still the Any Fish would be a bit more.
Yeah.
But that
a lot
Grand Prix
stiffer.
powerful. That's what I'd say.
Personally, sorry, I thought it was the GT,
Oh.
wasn't the GT. They're totally different, but
And respect the Jules because I love him to death, but I just think it's quite powerful. That's all.
It's there's a lad, Owen Moyle, and I've seen him cast it, and he's a big lad. He gets it going, but I don't think I'd get it going.
No.
Toying with trying one, but I don't. If I can't get the best out of it, like you say, it's not worth me doing it.
No. Right, Carl Penfold. Hi, when will the new C Match rod be out? That's the Mac 4. My wife wants to buy me one for Christmas.
I've took a few deposits. I'm still testing it, to be honest with you, and it's fine, you know. But we just got to adjust all the livery and stuff like that. I think it's going to be February, to be honest with you.
Right.
End of January, February. But, you know, you could put a small deposit. There will be one with a sliding fitting. There will be one with the normal fitting. And I'm really pleased with it. It's good.
Yeah, it's lovely.
But we want to make sure we get it right. Sometimes you can rush it and make a mess of it, you know. But it's lovely rod, easy to cast.
Right, I'm quite a long way down the thing, so I'm scrolling through here. Right, never seen you using fly sliders when fishing two baits at distance.
That's a good one. You sliding down the line.
Yeah.
Tony's son Chris is a big one for that, and that's a good point.
Too lazy me, but he done well down at what's it? Didn't
Chris done very well with it.
Yeah,
and that's a very valid thing. I mean, it's you've got to gauge that. So we had one in the summer. I don't know if it was about, and I had a bit of a not so favourable peg.
Yeah.
So I decided to fish a wishbone and then slide a garfish float down.
Yeah.
I did get a garfish. It was like a pencil.
Yeah, but it was
garfish in the countryside, isn't it?
Yeah, but the thing is that is a good thing to try, covering those two things. I think if there was plenty of fish there at your distance, then stay as you are with 3 hooks. But why not? Always a good point. That.
Yeah, it is a good thing to try.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people don't.
They don't know.
Because all they think about is garfish doing it.
Well, bass. You get the bass.
Bass. You know,
anything.
he caught a couple of bass down at that big one.
Yeah, he did.
I think we had one bass.
He did, and he missed one as well. Yeah.
Just outside the money.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, also it means that you're fishing only with 2 hooks on your end rig because you can only put 1 slider. You can only have 3 hooks.
That's right. But then you'd have the opportunity to put 2 hooks probably a little bit further, like you say, than 3 hooks if you needed to.
Yeah. Have you ever used a 2-hook pulley pennel with 1 hook slider in the edge when you match fishing? So that's because So, I think we've answered that.
Same thing.
Right. Sorry if I'm scrolling through things, but I'm concentrating on questions rather than people saying aye and stuff like that. John Spalton, if you need any help catching 26 centimetre whiting, let me know.
Hey, John. Hello, John. Lovely ease.
Right, Harry Oakes, really enjoyed my first match with you all on Sunday. Met some brilliant anglers and couldn't be any more helpful. We'll be doing many more. And it was great to meet you.
Good time. That was good. Him and Carl.
Yeah, and you're in the video, which will be out at 8:30. So when this finishes, make yourself a cup of tea and then sit down. There's an hour's video for you to watch, to troll through, and you'll see yourself on it.
Unless you want to watch Robbie Williams, but it's probably less views.
Right, Blinky one. Here's a contentious question. This could create a debate. Joe, Tony, CJ, do you believe you need to cast far to catch fish?
Me? No, I don't know. Not always.
Okay.
It's nice to have the ability. I mean, you've said it, Chris, loads of times. Tony said it. It's nice to have it in your armoury to be able to do it on them days. I know Dan said about me a few times. Yeah, he's all right, but there's not a lot there to chuck out, which is great. It's nice to have that. Not all the time. I mean,
no, but having your own water is good.
Oh,
you got your own water.
But you say that
where you are is so much further that we might be struggling on a certain day, and you can't touch it
on a certain day.
So you can't touch it. So you're like, why didn't I learn to cast a bit further? I'd always recommend someone to go on the field first, then go fishing. And that's what I did wrong. but I managed to go on the field in the end, so it could come good in the end for a little while. But you need to get on that field first, learn how to cast, then go fishing. But as Joe said, we've had this laugh before where someone hammered him down the point.
All right.
And I've got this little poster that comes up and goes, Joe, the fish, we're here. He just goes straight over them. But it happens, like I said last week, every dog has his day.
Yeah.
But I'd love to be get where he was on Sunday morning, because I know full well I'll go back there and be in the money.
Yeah.
Not guaranteed, but within reason, because it's phenomenal, you know.
But also, so like, I keep going back to the weekend. So I was next to a good friend of mine, and the fish were a bit further out to start with. But as that water come in, I watched him, out the corner of my eye. So I'm doing all right where I am. But the last little while, last few chucks, those fish come not right in, but they come in behind the back of the white water. So my last cast, so I look at the watch thinking, well, I've only got sort of going to have a 10-minute soak. So instead of just chucking it right out, by the time it's got out and got to the bottom, I went overhead and had 2 casts in tight and caught fish. If you can catch, I'm going back to match fishing, but if you can catch those fish quicker, closer, and be more efficient, casting doesn't come into it. But
well, casting is a detriment because it takes you that much longer to wind the bloody thing in each time.
You'd have 2 throws.
I would say Joe would be, although he's phenomenal, if we were fishing in the daylight, he'd be probably so much percentage more likely to win than if it was at night. Because at night, when the fish come in close, if you've got someone who's pretty handy, he can give him a good run.
Yeah, there's some awesome
angles. During the day, when it's quiet and there's no fish there and he's putting it out different, almost out in a boat, he's going to beat you. But not always. Still got to have a good peg. There's loads of aspects, If he gets a crap peg, then he ain't going to win.
So
he'll still come up, but he's not going to annihilate everyone. There'll be someone who's pretty good on another peg that'll, But most of the time, his casting pays off. So I'd say learn to cast first,
Yeah.
In
Hopefully
your
that.
armory, but
Yeah.
that really comes back to me about the Jacobs thing.
Yeah.
Sitting there and I'm blanking, and he's won the section, and he's 72 years old, and I think, well, I want to learn to do it. Inspired me. I want to learn to do that.
That's right. Yeah.
And that's on a day like
you can't
said,
beat it. And
I
sometimes the best thing ever is to get hammered, and you think, God, I thought I was good, and then you see these.
That's
like I said, going back to that league final, they were just thrown over their shoulder like shovels, like you said. And I had to put one hook on me and Jim Whippy, and Jim Whippy was okay now. And I managed to get 2 dogfish because I put one hook on. And they were so far out, and these guys were putting 3 hooks out there. And we thought they were, because they had fixed balls, they were sort of like not very good at it.
Yeah, they're quite.
We thought, we're laughing.
Well, we used to laugh at people with egg beaters, didn't we?
Your dad was there. It was phenomenal. We got hammered, and he could cast, and even he got hammered. But he went back there again, his dad, and he done well another time, didn't he?
I think so.
Yeah, he went back there.
Was it Isle of Man?
Yeah. He took the
won
snakes, didn't he?
Yeah,
he done well.
Snakes in the pocket.
Yeah. No, it's good.
He won that. Yeah.
Okay, Tony CK it's more of a statement than a question, but it's obviously a key for a debate. Not sure there is any need for a leader when using braid. I use Barclay Fireline at £102 and is only 0.28 millimeters, which is less than most 15 to 19 in.
Don't need a leader on that, do you?
No. What do you think about that though?
No, it's good. I don't think it'd be great for our match fishing so much, but when you just to go braid straight through is a good idea, and you just whack it out. And you've got no knots, no problems, have you?
I'm not. I know it's a contentious issue. We talk about braid. I'm not a fan of braid personally, but like you say, that's great. The only thing I would say with that, and I always think about when you've got braid and braid leader, is that all of the stretch, if you like, is going to be in your trace body. So make sure that your trace body is going to take the power of the cast. So if you've got, say, 60-pound line and you've over crimped that, you imagine you've got in a nylon shot leader, you've got a certain amount of stretch, absorption. If you're just pushing that all into a trace body, just be uprate the
but
trace
if he's
body.
using £100 braid straight through, he ain't got to use a leader, has he?
No, but it's just in the rig body.
Oh, sorry,
I'm with stretch, the whole stretch.
Yeah, of course.
For safety reasons, I would just say,
But I would imagine that, I don't know where he come from, but to use that straight through, I I think you might be on a bit of rock or
yeah.
fishing a bit of rubble ground or somewhere up north,
Or
I don't mean up north, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Anywhere like that. Whereas here, it's a little bit more finesse here. Everyone's trying to get the lightest line they can to get as far as they can, you know.
I mean, I have got one spool of heavier line braid straight through, but I'll use it on a night when there's a lot of weed in the water, so it's no leader knot. So
I use it bassing. I use £65 when I go up there bass fishing.
Yeah.
And I don't often go now, but it's quite nice because you haven't got to mess about, you know, just whack it out and it's easy, you know.
And also, I would urge you to inspect the first 20 or 30 metres of line on your reel every time you come down the beach before you tackle up, because it takes the slightest little fray in there and it's a weak spot. Yeah. And the knot, you know, always retie your knot to whatever. Right, do Dreamcast come less blingy for the common man? That's from A. Macmillan.
It's not going to be like mine. Don't worry, it's going to be good. That's what we're working on. And I know, you know, as a prototype, it looks sort of blingy. It's going to be well tamed down. It will look nice. I've got all the new livery on it, and we're just playing with prototypes at the moment. But it will be quite smart. It won't have all that big wrap on it. We've worked that out already. You know, on the butt, toned it all down. It was just a prototype. They just bung it together. They've not even got Fuji's on the one I've got.
Oh right, okay.
No, which I found out to my avail the other day when the ring broke. They put anything on it 'cause it's a prototype. And unfortunately, you know, I was fishing and having a bit of trouble, and it's because the ring had gone. I didn't know.
Well, I mean, that's that. A cracked ring will cut through braid like it's like a knife through butter.
Lethal.
Yeah.
I thought it was the reel. I thought the roller wasn't working on the reel, and I was having all kinds of trouble last week. But you know.
Right, Paul Bennett. Any ideas on a reasonable priced lure reel?
I've got stacks in the cabinet there, second hand. You want a pen, one of them pen ones. There's 4 or 5 different ones here, fixed spools.
Want to grab one and
I can grab. There's a few here. They're all second hand, but they're mint condition.
Yeah.
You've also got the Akios one. Some of these are beautiful. I think there's an Akios one there.
Oh, no, must admit, I was going to say pen reels.
They've all come in, and the pen ones are lovely, and they're all good price. You know, much cheaper than you buy. They've all got prices on, but we can do better. A guy gave up lure fishing. I've got some cracking rods down there in these as well. And I would say something like, this is the, is that the Akios one?
That's Akios, that one,
that's the Akios one, that's lovely. That's only about 60 quid.
I don't need any more reels.
Just a pen one.
Yeah, that's nice.
It is. I do like pen
Braid
reels.
on it, it's all ready to go. They're all pretty reasonable price because the guy who's selling them to me, he wants some money, so he wants me to just get rid of them.
Yeah.
But there's 3 or 4 lure rods down there cracking, you know, as well.
So there you go. You need to get on the phone to Tony tomorrow in the shop and get one of them. One of them deals. One of those pre-loved reels. Right.
Pen slammers, I think.
Pen slammers. Yeah. Right, Andrew Bunn. John Sporton would like to know how to stop catching 26cm whitings. Any tips, please?
I think you had some better fish at the weekend, John.
Yeah. Right. Tronics Pro do a 3-section padded rod bag for 15-foot rods, about 20 quid. There you go. That's from Rob Smith. Do you water range? Right, there. Joe, do you water your range often during a match? I'm losing the fish after catching well to start with.
Yeah, definitely. And what it could be there is like Tony says, if the tide's running, is the tide stopping? Well, you need lateral tide.
Yeah.
The majority of the time.
Yeah.
To catch fish. So if you're not catching, try and come in a bit closer.
Yeah.
Or a bit further out. Again, keep going back to the weekend. So I'd lost the fish up there, so the trace was clipped as far as I could cast, and then I had 2 sort of blank runs, or 3 or 4 blank runs. I think I had 4 blank casts.
Yeah.
And you start to then think, well, your head tells you, well, no point just keep putting it back in that same spot. So then I put 3 hooks flapping, but still the same style of cast, the same effort, but a flapping trace. So I might drop a few yards shorter.
Yeah.
And then I started to go the other way, and I got a real small, compact rig out to try and go a few yards the other way.
Yes.
But what happened is the tide picked up or whatever, but those fish come back to where I were. So just don't just keep going at the same distance what you're doing. Just try and alter it. Don't chase, but maybe, do you agree? Just try and alter it a little bit. You know,
3 weeks ago we had a low tide match, and I chucked it out at low tide. Obviously chucked it to a crap spot, and I carried on doing it all through the match. And I done hopeless.
if you're landing on
thought, why didn't I?
no
I
point.
actually went home because you have to analyse where it got wrong, and I thought, why did I keep chucking it at the same place? Because when the sea comes up, it will go to a different.
And
We
it pushes
fish,
you back.
we fish low tide, and we fish up,
Mm.
and of course you're covering different ground all the time because it comes up quite fast. But
You could just
I
be
just
chucking
kept-
onto the top of a
we
sandbank
fished
each
an
time,
hour-
and it's no
yeah,
water
we
there.
that's what I think I've done.
That's
We
what I
fished
did,
an hour
yeah.
back, and then an hour. So the tide never moved. I sat up here like this, and I just chucked it at the same spot.
No.
And obviously it wasn't a good spot. It was absolutely terrible angling. I've got to be honest with you. I should know better. That's just what happens, you know. Sometimes you just get fed up and
Have the odd wayward one just in case.
Yeah,
Sorry.
Well, yeah, exactly. My theory is that I said about it before with Gerald. He chucks it here, there, and everywhere. He won't have it, but he catches loads of fish because he doesn't chuck in the same spot.
Yeah.
But you know, he goes over there but he won't have that. But I'm telling you, he catches fish. And my theory is because he lands there and there and there, he's covering distance, isn't he? It covers distance, doesn't he? I'm landing there in the same spot every time, and if there ain't no fish there, they're not going to come there if it's a horrible little area, are they?
No.
Or on a bank.
And depending on where you're fishing and what you're doing, obviously we don't know where you are, what ground you're fishing.
Yeah.
Sometimes, and I know Tony does it as well, is sometimes let you put a rolling lead on. It depends again where you're fishing, what you're doing, etc.
Yeah.
But out here, if we have it sometimes and it's a bit hard, you might put a rolling lead on. Yeah, it's risky because the fish might not bolt rig itself, but you might come up a bank, like you were saying, and you might drop down a depression.
And
that little bit, and that little bit could
hunt
just
in the ground. Yeah.
But be careful because you get a big bite and sometimes miss it because it's not hooked in the bottom to bolt the fish.
Mm.
But then again, it's down to your preference.
Yeah.
It's better to get a bite sometimes than just sit there getting nothing.
I mean, Harvey's big Ray was on a rolling lead.
I heard.
Yeah.
I heard.
He could he do anything else? It's not Snood.
I said to him,
Small-eyed ray rigs we're selling now. They're that long, with a
Harvey
little hook
rig,
on, size 6, and a rolling lead.
Did he go for a walk as well? Usually
Probably, yeah. He's not normally around, is he? Bless him. No, I'm pretty proud of him. He done brilliant, didn't he?
Yeah, no, really good. Really
to
good.
beat him.
And he had another one. He had another one off.
He
that,
did,
didn't he?
I think he actually fished. He said he
fished
actually put fish on for that one,
Yeah.
and he caught another one.
Yeah.
But no, he's. I was made
No,
up.
top draw, that was brilliant.
It's a good boy, he loves it.
Right, so I think we've answered this, but I'll ask it again. Joe, do you change snood lengths during the course of a session match, such as it gets too high water and the tide goes slack? Do you change rigs to suit, then go back to your original rig on the ebb?
Definitely. You'll be the same, Tony. Like a lot of people here use a loop rig, Portsmouth rig, 2 up, 1 down. I'm not a fan of it, but that would be used in tide run. So say if you was using that rig, you'd start off with that in tide run. As the tide eases, generally I say you want to shorten the snood as the tide eases. But most of the time you can find a rhythm and you use what you use. But if it's not, again, what we said earlier, the last conversation, if it's not happening, then try something different. Don't go mad, drive yourself mad with it.
Everyone's dropper mad, but I think
you've
got to be careful because when it's rough as well, I don't think that third one fishes.
Tumbles up.
I really think it tumbles around the weight sometimes, and I don't think it fishes so well. If it's flat calm, it fishes lovely and a bit of tide.
Yeah, definitely.
But you get it out there and it's a gal. I've been fishing. I've changed just recently to free up the line. And I think you've got more chance of a bass as well. But it's only my personal opinion. I don't know. Someone else would come on there and say, oh, I caught 3 big bass on a dropper the other night. But they run across the sand and I think they like the up in the water.
But sometimes,
you catch them on the bottom one.
The dropper would sometimes catch that bonus fish, I found.
Catch the bonus fish.
I don't use it very often, but it's one of them things that sometimes, if there is a lot of tide there and I'm not catching a lot, I would go for that. I'm thinking I've got a hook below the lead, and that
do you use that rough sea though?
No,
I tend to
always
use it when it's
shorter
rough.
rigs in rough
seas.
seas.
That's right.
You know,
do you find the bass are up in? Because I've always gone up free up the line if I'm trying to catch a bass.
They generally take top hook, but I think the gear is generally on the bottom anyway.
Yeah, but generally I take that
Generally,
top hook,
the top hook, yeah.
Yeah, I always think so.
Yeah, it's.
And I'm a great believer in top and bottom hook.
I am as well.
I don't bait my middle one as carefully as the other two because I think they'll always see it's the first ones they must come to top and bottom.
But it's self-fulfilling prophecy that is you always catch them on the top and the bottom one because you don't bait the middle one.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
But I was always been like
don't bait it properly.
Yeah.
With bait supplied, if you had I personal again, I said to someone at the weekend and said, well, I think the middle hook's a dead hook. You know, I don't know why. They said, I think the bottom one is because the top two are up higher.
Well, I always think the bottom ones.
Well, I think the bottom ones are nice for a bigger bait and stuff like that. But yeah, I don't want to digress about baits and stuff. But,
if I had a free hook up the line and I had money, I'd put my money on the bottom one. But that's me.
I used to. I've got
for
the top
just
one now.
but for the bass, well, even for general fishing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd take the bottom one because it's near weight. I don't know.
I used to think that.
It just depends the way it lays, doesn't it? As well, I suppose if you think about a fish, if they're coming up the side, they should hit the bottom one first. But then if they're coming from that way, they hit the top one. So that's why the middle one ain't no good. I don't know.
Different,
but you could go on for hours, you know. And the guy say to me, I've caught all my fish on the middle hook. And
why does it matter when you get a treble shot? No, it doesn't. And it's your own.
It's your own personal.
Your own personal.
Yeah.
Well, I've got that underwater casting camera. When we get some clear water again, we'll whack it out and have a look,
give it a go.
see what goes, see the fish swimming around. Because you do see them swim around your bait. You know, they swim around it. They don't come straight to the bait. So.
Depends if they're hungry, though, surely.
Well, or they're in competition with each other. I mean, that's when they really go hard. Is if there's two of them, one wants to get in here quick. Yeah. Right, Joe, what is your go-to main line and shot leader?
So
that's from Tees.
So my main line would be Asso Ultra, used by quite a lot of the match boys around the country. It's a fantastic line. I'm not sponsored by Asso at all. If not plugging Asso, it's what I use personally. Asso Ultra, they do Ultra Cast, which is a good line. They're fluorocarbon coated. They're a strong line, good abrasion resistance for diameter. So depending on where you are, again around wherever. And for a shot leader, I use Asso Ultra Flex, which is a great leader. It's never let me down. I use that in 0.8 diameter, but you know, I know the lads use 0.6. You know, he's fine. He's ample. Or Asso Classic is a good line. But for main line would be Asso Ultra. Brilliant line. Asso Ultra Flex.
And where's shot leader?
Asso Ultra Flex.
Oh, okay.
For shot leader.
Yeah.
And it's a great leader. Yeah, it's good.
Is that a tapered shot leader?
It's not tapered though, is it?
No, that's a standard. They do standard, but I've used tapered. I do use tapered if I'm going somewhere where, for instance, you want a longer leader. If you want to get a few wraps around the reel, if you're fishing somewhere like a pier or whatever, it's not too snaggy.
Is that what's on there? Is that your Nitron?
That one, yeah, the Nitron,
the winning reel. So what's that on there? That's I think is that Ultra 15?
Yeah, that's that Ultra 0.32.
This is the Agios Nitron. Ever so nice reel. I don't know if you want to. Yeah. You use that, don't you?
That's right. Yeah.
A couple. They're nice, aren't they?
Yeah. They're pretty.
You get on all right with it?
Yeah, really good line. Yeah, really good. Yeah, really good. Good winding. I actually bought 2 of these from the shop, and I've used other big reels. I don't use big reels that often.
Yeah.
But I thought, do you know what? I'll try them, and I fished the Penn final at Holyhead.
Yeah.
And these boulders were huge, and they survived Holyhead. So if they survived that,
they're pretty strong, aren't they?
Yeah, really strong. Yeah, I do a few little things to them. All I would do.
What do you do to it?
So personally, we this way. I would use a clicker, a ratchet. If you was up the northeast, you might want that. So I remove the cog from the inside. It just makes the spool a bit faster.
Yeah.
But yeah, good quality, nice and strong. But that's loaded up with Asso Ultra on there, and my Ultra Flex leader.
Quite nice reel, about 200, so 250.
Yeah, good, strong.
You don't sell them, do you, by any chance, do you, Tony?
Unfortunately, I do. I'm not plugging it. I just wanted him to. Because he was telling me that he used it and it was good. Because
they are tiny looking rods.
It's good if you want something a little bit bigger.
Yeah.
You know, strong. If you've got the standard reels, are okay, but they sometimes lack a bit of, you know, if you
a bit of grunt, bit of weed or whatever.
You know.
Yeah. So. All right. Cool. I mean, it's gone 8 now. I'm going to spin through. I don't know. There's probably hundreds more questions here. Right, Gary Kirkbride. Here's one for you lads. Are people now buying more fixed balls or multipliers these days?
I'll do that one with you.
Well, I'll take my take, and obviously Tony's in the business, isn't he? But generally, I think the long rod has really helped anglers.
Yes,
that are, let's
average.
Well, not necessarily that, but
yeah,
anglers that are getting older and not as powerful as it was years ago.
The top Charlies, a lot of them are on multipliers, okay?
Mm.
And I bet at Skegness most of them had multipliers, yeah?
Yeah,
right?
vast majority. There was
Vast
a few
majority.
Northeast lads with fixed balls down the butt.
A lot, but generally for simple fishing and ease of casting, and as you get a little bit older, and if you're not quite so professional at it, then you can't beat these fixed balls with braid and light nylon. They just fly.
Light nylon's fantastic.
It's a simple way of getting distance. If you're not a full-blooded pendulum, you're not going to put all that big effort into doing it. And you want to get a long way with minimum effort, then you've got to go on a fixed ball.
With the longer rods.
I don't sell many multipliers at all now.
Yeah.
You know, I sell a few to the
Unless
top.
I come in on a Saturday.
The top guys. I sell them to them, but generally I'm finding that it's the fixed ball that they're coming for all the time. You know.
Yeah.
So it's a preference, and if you try and use the fixed ball, then you play with it. It's quite simple to learn, if you know what I mean. Especially with the rods, because it's so light.
The thing is, I think, is I always said this: if you've got someone that's got a bit of experience through fishing, if they were to come in here, buy one of those 3-piece rods, fixed ball reel, thin nylon or braid, whatever you want. The rigs that like Tony sells, the shop sell, quality made rigs, you're away. Because years ago, I remember Paul Parsons says to us years ago, he said back in the day, you bought a 6.5, Abu 6.5, a 2.5 LM X, and a bucket of fresh out lugworms. And that's what it was. But if you had to go back to that now and you come in this shop and someone said, I want to start match fishing, like me with the Tornado, fluff up, bang, bang. You'd throw it there and say, enough of that. So it has, it's done that.
Progressed, isn't it?
But in the right conditions, it's great.
Yeah.
It's horses for courses,
I think
as I've said before.
Said it loads of times, but I never go pleasure fishing, always match fishing. Right? Since I use this braid, I'll go over there because the rod goes wacky.
It's exciting.
You have more fun. It's more fun. That's the main thing. You get this. You get a small bite, and you see it, and it's going mad, and you get excited about it. Whereas you don't even see a bite of nylon. You just reel it in. You got free whiting on, which we've gone through all that before.
I mean, for me making videos, the whiting season, I love it at the start of it because it's exciting. You get out and your rod's going bang, 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 and you're videoing it. You always get it on the video.
For a little while.
Yeah, for a little while, and then it becomes a bloody nuisance. But for a little while, it's really exciting. Yeah. So I mean, for me, the fireworks going off on the beach, that to me was the start of the whiting season. But it hasn't happened this year, really, is it?
It's been terrible.
Yeah.
No, I think they've started to roll up a bit now. I mean, what are we now? November, mid-November. I think your man went yesterday.
The first frost last week, they came in, and they're there now.
Yeah.
And there's quite a few at night.
Right.
So they are coming, you know, but there's not been, if you remember 2 years ago, they didn't go.
No.
You just catch them in the summer, won't they?
Yeah.
They just never disappeared 2 years ago, did they? There's thousands of them. So I think you get seasons with certain fish that all of a sudden they breed and there's a lot of whiting. And then you get the year of dogfish and then you get and things progress and you don't know what it's going to be.
We need the year of the cod again, don't we, really? Yeah. Right, there's someone here called Dan Wood. Says it's called Goon Island plum.
I don't know what you're saying, Daniel.
Goon Island. Are you fishing Sunday in Goon Island, son?
Right, Abe McMillan says,
yeah.
Talking of scaffold poles, I've still got an Abu 484.
Atlantic, isn't it?
Yeah.
484 Nigel
Down
Forrest.
there,
Did Nigel Forrest do the record with that, didn't he?
Think so, and Terry Carroll had something to do with it and that. It was the first, I was saying last week, I picked one up and it's like a scaffold pole. And Trevor bought one, and he cast well, because he's big, wasn't he, Trevor? And he's young, I've got one, Jack the Land, I couldn't even cast the front door of the shop with it, and he killed me, because they were so heavy. But they were 10 years before their time. The tip on it, if you go and have a look tip before we go, you won't believe how thin it is.
Really?
Yeah, it's about 3 mil, isn't it?
I'll have to have a go with it.
We looked at it last week.
Oh, yeah.
About 3 mil tip. Yeah. 3 or 4 mil.
Right, Harwood Blades, are you boys getting on the dongle rig for larger species?
No, that's him. He's the dongle man.
Yeah.
Well, there's a big, I haven't heard too much about it. Is there a bit of controversy over the dongle?
Well, I don't know. Steve said something about we can't call it a dongle anymore, but I don't know where that came from.
Dongle, actual dongle, was from South Africa.
Yeah.
And it was foam. It's a piece of foam with wire.
All right.
And I know that a lot of people now are using the braid, and I was shown that by the Welsh lads. and it's the same sort of thing. Dad will probably shout me down, but the original, the actual
The original
dongle
one,
was from South Africa that they'd come up with, and it was the piece of wire with foam, and then the circle hook through the top.
Yeah.
And I use it a lot. I use it a lot for smooth hounds. It's fantastic.
Right.
Because what it does is it pops the bait up a bit on the
Right.
foam.
Yeah.
But for smooth hounds, it's great for rays and bass even. I fished the smooth hound open in Skegness, funnily enough. And I had 2 bass, one of 50 something, one of 60 something, with this circle hook right in the nail.
Yeah.
This big dongle sticking out, and even small bass.
Yeah.
They'll still grab it.
Yeah.
I do use a dongle. Yeah, with foam.
It's not a hair rig, really, isn't it?
It is. Yeah, it is. And as it goes in, I believe, and there's a big thing about the knot to the hook.
Yeah.
Now.
The 2 hooks, and you've got to cinch it around the.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's
or
right.
you've got to use a loop.
The perfection loop. The perfection loop, I think, was done over here, and that's how it's been changed. But in South Africa, and the old man showed us, was a knotless knot. So I've toyed with the 2.
Yeah.
But when I've used the foam dongle, I've used the knotless knot with a circle.
Yeah.
And the other thing I will say with circles is on a dongle, is when you look at a circle, and I didn't really look at it till you studied it. They look big, but the gape
is tiny.
It's tiny. It's only like a J hook. So I use a 5.0 sometimes, and it looks like humongous the way it comes around. But if you put a 1.0 J hook in there, it's not that big.
I mean, I've done a bit of studying, and you've got to work out what fish you're going for, and you've got to work out how thick that fish is in the mouth, and that's how you gauge the size of the hook, because it's got to be the gap between the point and the
So, and that's like you say with smooth hounds, even a big smooth hound's only got a small mouth.
Yeah.
But what the great thing with it is that bite. When you get that bite and you lift, you don't strike it, you lift it. As you lift, the hook turns into the corner of the mouth. And when that's hooked, you know, I've had these hounds, big hounds on, they're pulling, and you've got that bit of confidence to think, I can give it a bit of a pull back. Because all you're doing is you're setting the circle in the side of the mouth. But I know you were saying, Chris, that trying it for other species, you were going to look at different things.
Well, that's one of the things when the whiting come on hard, and so you know you're going to get whiting. I'm going to start experimenting with dongles, with tiny little dongles for whiting.
The only other thing I was going to say to you, I mean, I haven't tried it. I know some of the lads down the west have tried it for other species. But what you could do, I was thinking, when you said about this last time, was if you try using a baiting needle. I know it's awkward.
I use baiting needle all the time.
And that should just go straight round a circle.
Yeah, that's true. Well, it's a bit awkward because the circle,
it turns on itself. Yeah.
And so you can't get the baiting needle over the end of it. You can offset them a little bit and then do it, but I don't know if they still.
I didn't have to try that.
No, it doesn't, because the way the circle hook is, and I'm sort of doing all this behind the camera here, but because the point of the circle hook actually is back towards the thing, when you go to try and put a baiting needle on it, don't go. So they're a pain in the ass.
They are great. They're bigger fish. I know you've.
Yeah.
But it's a thing that I think you've got to have confidence in it. You've got to be confident in it. I wasn't at the start. I said to Dad, "Oh, I don't know." And I think you're the same thing, isn't it? You want to
when I went to South Africa and I fished for that England thing and all that, I was just destroyed. I thought, what's he doing? They're ripping everything to bits. And no, these South Africans and you can't use that knot. What do you think you're doing? And they got you. And in the end, you think, I can't be doing this. And so the first time I got annihilated. I was doing well and I drank too much in the ring. Second time, I went there and I come second in the individual.
Port Elizabeth.
Because I'd learned. No, he went right round. He went Durban, Port Elizabeth, Cape Town, Namibia. The second time I went, I was up for it. I was 30. First time when I was 24 as a lunatic, and I was going out with the Springboks and everything. And then the second time, I got cracked this. I mean, Alan even went mad at me. He said, "If you come in late again tonight, I'll lock the door." Yeah, it was a big row and everything, but we got over it. The second time, I was all keen and switched on. But what they do is they groom you into doing what they say.
Yeah.
And you listen. You have to listen.
Yeah.
If you don't, you don't catch any.
No.
You know.
Guys, it is 8:15 now. Do you want to go on to a past, or do you want?
I'm happy to carry on if you got.
Because we've got an awful lot of questions still.
There is a question that someone asked, and I would like to answer it or get Joe
go on then.
to.
Yeah.
Someone's on about wind knots, and Joe's the man to tell you.
Well, I don't know.
Well, you do get wind knots now and again.
You'd probably be more with the fixed bowl.
My answer is it would just be too much line on the
too much line, I'd say. Yeah.
But I don't know if there's any other reasons. Is it to do with rings or what?
I don't know. I think overload, leader knot size. if the leader knot is coming off,
that's another thing because I use Braid league. It's smallest knot in the world. Don't get it. I don't get wind knots.
you know, tag it could pull off, couldn't it?
I can see that I have had them in the past when I first started. And what I was doing is putting too much line on, and I thought I was clever because you've got to get it forward, you've got to get it flying through the rings, and it was just causing me grief. And I don't seem I've ever had them again. The only other thing I can think of is certain rods. I did have a Tronics Cobra, and it was a terrific rod. I kept noticing now and again I get this sponger up type thing, the green ones, the original ones. I kept thinking, what's going on here? And then someone else come in and said, I'm getting trouble with this Cobra rod. And then I got rid of mine and someone got rid of theirs. And it was probably just where the ring was spaced in the wrong position, which you're not going to know unless you try. Not George's fault or anything like that. Now they're probably perfect.
Yeah.
But it was just I love the rod.
Yeah.
I think it's Mickey Webb, he had one.
Yeah,
and so now and again it gets wrapped around the top, the bottom ring and snaps off. And we was all getting it. So I moved on. But it was a lovely rod, the Cobra, the original green one, wasn't it?
It just reverted back to a wind knot. Harvey, he recently went out to the World Championships in Holland.
Yeah.
So we loaded all these reels up at home. I said, son, when you get out there, just play the first bit of line out and wind on the tension, because I'm convinced that even when we've been field casting, they told me the first 100 metres, walk it back, lay it on nice.
Definitely,
It's laid on nice. But he apparently he went straight out there, all excited, get there to his practice day, and all the spools, I've loaded them quite high because monofill will bite down a bit. And I spoke to his manager, was on the phone. He said he's had a bit of a happening today. I was on, he was on loud, and I was. You can imagine how I was saying to him, I'm sorry, Dad, I just wanted to throw it in the water. But because the line, I think the line's got to be on there nice and firm. Otherwise, it just come off in a big
hit. Please don't take this personally, but we used to call it the Welsh angle. You get it on the multiplier. The line's coming off like that, and it's not coming off.
I've used that.
So I have to do this quite often, you know. I have to chuck it out and just walk up the beach, go 100 yards, 150, and then reel it back before you start.
I normally have a couple of practice casts.
And it's my mate from Tony Firth. Oh, you've got the Welsh angle, Tony, he used to say to me. I don't know where it come from. He was just laughing, you know. And what it is, it's coming off the.
I've had that before.
Even on the multiplier, if you've got a level underneath, you can have a level line, and it can come off, and the line's over here. And you've got to just play it out, chuck it, or play it right out, and then bring it in. It's lovely. And that doesn't help. I mean, that's probably what he done, because on a fixed ball, it does the same thing. It'll be one, coming off one end to the other.
You've got to lay that first bit. And like you just said there, Chris, it's like, even when I get to a match, I'll always make sure the reel's shut down. And I overread it. I wouldn't go straight into a full blown cast, even with line, change my line every time on the reel. But always just overhead. Overhead.
Just graduate a bit of distance and let it wind it onto the reel nice.
Get the first bit under tension, and even with a fixed ball as well. I think that's.
And that first cast in a match, I'll tell you now,
catches.
I'm sure that a lot of people, they won't cast with dry line.
No.
If you can cast with dry line, I'm convinced that first cast go 10 yards further. And so's Peter Ayres. No, believe me, some people cannot cast with dry line.
I can't cast dry.
If you can,
I
know that Peter Ayres was talking about, he gets real technical. And I said, Pete, my first cast, I'll run it all off that fixed ball, and I'll whack it as high as I can, and it probably is my best cast of the day. Because it will get, you get water and moisture on it. It's going to get bogged down. It's not going to come off quite as clean as your first cast. So that's another thing. So you really need that to be, walk it out, walk up the beach, walk 150 yards up the beach, and then reel it back and get it nice and neat on there before you chuck your first cast out,
I agree with that,
Right, I see a lot of Yuki Kenters in matches along with the old Taylor Qs. Why are they such a popular match rod, and do you know the difference betwixt Kentner and 911 titanium? Please and thank you. That's from him.
Kenters are popular.
Kenters fantastic three-piece rod. I haven't cast a 911, but when I was away with the boy, some of the lads had them, and I haven't personally used them. But I think they're the upper end of the Yuki range. But Kenters are tried and tested.
They're nice rod. They don't go wrong. They've been going for ages.
Really good.
I just think they're a little bit pricey. But maybe it's going to last you forever. They don't seem to break, which is important. So they are a nice rod.
But the difference,
I just think that some of these rods, they tend to overprice them a little bit, and that's the only thing against it. When a Kenter, we used to sell quite a few for about 400 quid. They're now touching 600, I believe.
Yes, that's a lot of money.
£600, you know, a lot of money. But then, if you take it seriously,
it's true. But that's
you get a Dreamcast for 400 with 2 tips.
You got the Kenter.
Don't mad at me now.
You got the Kenter.
No, it is a good rod. I'm not biased. I sell them. I can get them. It's a nice rod, but I don't stock them because they're very expensive, and it's my personal opinion, you know.
Right, Steve Perry says, how about inviting Jem Stapleton next time? Well, she's always welcome. Yeah, we'll bring it down, get a female perspective.
Jim Whippy next week.
We've got Jim Whippy next week. What I'm also going to say,
yeah,
somebody called Harvey Plumstead has gone, whoops.
Rayman.
Yeah, Rayman. There's going to be so many questions on it we're not going to cover. What I'm going to suggest is that we will draw it to an end in about 5 minutes' time.
I'm happy to ask a few more if you.
Yeah, I'm all right.
10 minutes or whatever.
Yeah, well, the video from the match on Sunday comes out in 6 minutes' time.
Yeah,
so so you need to be able to go and get yourself a cup of tea. What I'm thinking is that we could come back like we did last time with the first one and the second one. Is I'll go through all the questions on here. I'll compile the questions, and we'll have another one of these, and we'll go through some of those questions as well. The other thing I would suggest to the people watching this, either watching it now or watching it on playback, get your screen set up so you can see the comments on it, and then go through the comments, and you'll see that a lot of the questions you've asked are actually have been answered. So that I'm scrolling through here, and I'm seeing some questions that we actually answered at the start of the session. Jason Scott's on here. Evening, lads. You're late to the show again. I tried ringing you tonight again, Jason. Never mind. Right. Joe, this is from John Drake. Despite your experience, do you ever crack off?
Of course I do. Of course I do. And if you don't, as my good mate Mewburn used to say, you're not cracking off, you're not trying. Obviously, within reason.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I still get. And what I would always say is, especially with the reels I use, but these are pretty safe with the mags, and I also use my 7HT Super Tunes.
Yeah.
Generally, if I've had a crack off, it's pilot error. It's not the gear. So yeah, the odd time you'll still get it, and you know, it happens from time to time. Just don't worry about it. Dust off. Obviously, it's happening all the time, and that's not great because you're going to lose time fishing. But I fished all weekend, didn't have any trouble. It's a fine line, and I think you'll agree, Tony, in fishing, casting, and being efficient. So it's no point getting one away. Oh, that was a good one, and have 3 or 4 flare-ups. You know, because that's the time you're out the water. Is to keep the reel safe, but just on the edge. You know, so it's just whatever suits you. The odd time if I'm really struggling and I want to squeeze a little bit more out of it.
Give it a go.
We had a match out here. I think I had quite a few place, and at the end the tide went down so far. Then I took it too far. I just took too much magnet off, just trying to chase them last few fish out, and the second to last cast, boom. You know, I must have had how many casts? Not boom. So from time to time, yes, but not.
Yeah, it can cost you, can't it? It depends how you. I hate having trouble, and I lose the edge, you know. Whereas he'll probably deal with it because
just deal with it.
You know, when I fish properly, I had 5 reels in the box.
Yeah, I did the weekend.
You know,
I was going to say how many reels are in your box. I was going to ask that.
I think it's got 6 or 7.
It varies, so I take.
You've got to have them.
Yeah.
Nice.
4 or 5 little casting reels. And I took quite a few winching reels. And people say, you know, well, that's a lot of money to have just sitting in your box. It is, but it's you wouldn't. I think Tony covered this before. You know, you wouldn't really want to be trying to unscrew that or thumb screws on a beach. You know, hopefully you shouldn't have any hassle. But if you're on a venue, let's say, I don't know, something catches you, a windsurfer catches you or something. There's one reel gone, and you know, or if you've caught in the bottom, there is a
thing. Is, Joe, I used to have problems now and again. What I've done was when I got the next reel out, I used to find I'd lost 10 yards.
Mm.
And then I wasn't catching. I was in the zone. It's all going brilliant. And something had happened. It used to be, you know, and I'd get out there. It'd take me 2 more casts to get back there.
Maybe
if you get another fixed ball out, I don't mean to be rude. These are better for the top Charlies, but if you get another fixed ball out, it goes straight to the same spot. You ain't got to warm the reel. I don't mean warm the reel up, but you know what I'm saying. Get it out, and he's probably ready. Mine used to be in there, and I'd use this one for 3/4, you know, 2 matches, and all of a sudden, oh my God, I've got to get another one out. But I'd find I don't want to, it might not be quite right, so I might blow that up, or I might panic. Especially what used to happen in the old days, when you got a bass, the next cast you'd blow up. Sometimes the 7HT cured that for some reason. So it was more forgiving. It was only real, you could reel a bass in, and the next cast it'd go out beautiful. You get a kind of, because they go heavy and light, you get some kind of so something on your line.
Tights and loose bits.
And then the next cast, it'd be disastrous. Bang! And you think, oh my God. So with the fixed ball, you don't get that. You get straight back in there. And sometimes when in bass are running, you get another one.
But the only thing is there, what I was always showing with that is if you do think it's humped a little bit, just quickly unclip or just quickly flick the rig out and then wind that bit back on. That's because that, like you said, that is, we've all done it because you're winding and you're
all tensed up. You want to get out there. Oh, am I going to flip that out? Nah, be all right. Bang.
But sometimes I think you've got we had a match somewhere in Backton, and I was catching quite a few smooth hounds, and like you said, I was getting a bit excited. You get the hound, and it's and you've got a bit of adrenaline. Sometimes you take a second,
just
right, start,
and
go again. Otherwise, you would get a crack off
experience. Your experience. You can slow down and think, hang on, I'm not going to do that.
Just for a second, and then go again.
The only cure for us when we was young was these 7HTs, the black ones.
Yeah.
They didn't overrun. They've got an extra bearing in the handle, and for some reason they were smooth as silk, the old 7HTs, and that's what your one's like now. You know, because they're based. That new one he's got. Yeah. The new ones, they're based on the same thing, and they're very forgiving, although they cast miles, don't they?
They do, they're good.
I mean, I've got that Achios SCM, and that's got 2 braking systems. It's got magnetic brakes and brake brakes.
That's right.
And it's so smooth. It's so smooth. You just, because one deals with the first part of the cast, and the other side of brake deals with the later part of the cast. Yeah. Anyway, we are actually a couple of things here. I've come to the bottom of the questions. I've not done all. I've missed some questions, definitely. My phone's just told me I've got 15% battery life left, so we are coming to the end, and it is 8:30. So I'm going to say thank you very much to Tony and Joe. It's been a cracking session. I hope you've enjoyed this. We will do another one. As we say, next week we've got Mr. Whippy, Jim Whippy, who is an absolute legend. I mean, he's an absolute legend on beach and at boat. A holder of all sorts of world records. Line class records, so we'll be talking to him, and I would like to invite Joe back to do another one with Joe.
No problem, Tom.
I mean, somebody did say you ought to get Harvey on it because Joe's spent now.
Spent. I'll try and get the old man then.
Get Bill on it. Yeah, I think it'll be a lot of beeps and bleeps, though, wouldn't it?
You could have the
get the plumstead,
That's all right. You get your boy on here as well.
Or just feed them while they're doing the video.
You can have them lined up, Joe. I'm in the middle. I look up to him, but I look down to him.
There'll be a big row
pushing around the shop.
Right, so thanks very much. As I say, the video of the match from where Harvey aced it is out about now. So enjoy that, and catch you on the next one. Thanks very much.
Cheers.
That went really well. I felt. Are you sure you want to stop? Oh, God. I do. Don't speak yet because you might still be on camera. Are you sure you want to stop streaming? Okay.